All right, welcome to another episode of the Why Influence podcast. Today we got an amazing guest. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a personal brand. He builds courses. Talks a lot about investing, stock markets, cryptocurrency. Um, just a ton of great content. I've consumed some of it myself, and I can vouch for the quality. First of all, I just want to say thank you, Zac, for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'm gonna poke around a little bit real quick. I'm gonna pull up your YouTube channel. So here, as of today, you've got 50,500 subscribers. If I pull up your recent videos, you're getting looks like a minimum of roughly 1,000, but then you get a bunch that pop a decent amount above that. 16,000 views from 10 days ago. Um, so that's pretty solid traction there and consistency. As far as Social Blade, I pulled up. You're averaging looks like 2 to 6,000. One day you had 14,000. That might have merged those 2 days. But that's a pretty solid traction there as far as consistent views coming through with your channel. One thing I wanted to note about your YouTube channel, because some people think like, oh, it's it happens so quickly. I was scrolling down your videos here, and you've got quite a few videos that you've created over the years, or really the past year.
Yeah, I think we're in the hundreds now, probably 200 or 300 videos since I kind of started. My format's fairly easy because I can kind of film everything at my desk and on my computer most of the time. So I don't have to do any kind of elaborate pranks or setups or travel. But I have definitely put in a lot of work putting out a lot of videos, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that shows you've definitely got grit pushing through on this, and the results are showing for that hard work. So nice job with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So one thing you had mentioned is your courses. So I see you've got a Udemy profile as well as a Skillshare profile, and quite a few students on here. You got 16,000 students on Udemy, and I just saw it over here. I guess it's by course here. You got 12, probably another 16,000 over on Skillshare.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I never actually thought the numbers would get that high when I first started out, but everything kind of started with YouTube, and then I figured, hey, why don't I kind of condense everything into a course that people can get access to? And at the time, I had no personal brand, and nobody knew me, and nobody was searching for Zac Hartley online. So I tried to figure out how can I give my courses away for free and make it as easy as possible. And Skillshare was really nice because you sign up for a free trial with them, and then you get access to my entire course as well as the entire platform. And if you cancel the subscription before the trial is over, then you just got the entire course for free. And all of my Udemy courses, they started out as free for the first few months, and now I think they're only like $20 or $12, whatever it is. So they're all as cheap as I can make them on the platform. So that was the goal with all of those.
Oh, that's great. So you created the course before you created the YouTube channel?
They both kind of happened at the same time when I first kind of got started, and I decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do and commit to. I committed to making all of the YouTube videos, but then I also thought to myself, like, hey, this needs to be more than just a YouTube channel. I need to kind of build a business around this and an ecosystem around the views that I'm getting from YouTube. And so, how I think about my business is I make YouTube videos to draw in attention and usually to show up on search results. And then I provide value through those YouTube videos. And then I try to direct that traffic and those views to other sources like Udemy and Skillshare, where I can then monetize it as well as provide more value to the user or to the viewer.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, using YouTube as a funnel is a great strategy for that.
Yeah, and the nice thing about these platforms is they kind of do all of the back end work. They both have an audience, so it's not like I'm running ads or trying to drive tons and tons of traffic. I'm just kind of making YouTube videos and saying, "Hey, if you want to learn more about this, I have a full course that's totally free if you create a trial account with Skillshare.
Nice. Awesome. So we'll dive into that in a little bit. So we have a LinkedIn profiles. Are you pretty active on LinkedIn as well? I mean, I see you have a couple posts or some activity in the past week.
Yeah, I'd say I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. I'm in there every day and posting and trying to engage with other people. LinkedIn is just absolutely fantastic for kind of building that network and building connections. And then when you need to reach out to somebody, or you need to sell something, or you need to get a hold of somebody at a different company, LinkedIn's usually the first place I go to.
Okay, great. And then we've got your Twitter profile here.
Yeah, Twitter's been a little bit smaller for me. It's something that I'm trying to ramp up right now, and I haven't done a whole lot of work with over the last kind of 2 to 3 years. But something I'm trying to figure out right now and start to scale up and really contribute a whole lot more on. But Twitter's a pretty small channel for me at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's hard enough just to have manage one channel well, let alone several. So that's usually pretty normal to neglect one to in favor of working on another.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I just started on TikTok as well, so that's actually one platform that's done really well for me. So
Okay, nice. Yeah, I didn't pull that one up. Um, then yeah, you've got your website here, which sort of consolidates everything, which I thought was pretty nice. You have your courses on here. I saw you had some documents where people can download some sheets and trackers that you had created.
yeah, just simple resources to kind of help people organize either their trading or their personal finances. And then there's kind of a link to access to all the courses, and the resources tab there is actually great for sign up bonuses. So if there's anybody that needs to open an account with a broker or a crypto platform, here are all the best sign up bonuses you can get.
Nice. So you've I guess I missed this earlier, but you've got a podcast as well.
Yeah, I basically took the audio from my stock market fundamentals course and then just overlapped it into a podcast and posted it online. And that's actually been pretty amazing. It's almost at 1 million listens or 1 million
Wow.
views or downloads, whatever it is.
Yeah,
It's at
congrats.
900 something. So,
And that's just from repurposing content.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. That's great.
So, yeah, lots going on.
Cool. Yeah, so a lot that we can be talking about here. But before we dive into sort of your origin story and how you got to where you are, I like to start off just by asking really some advice. You've obviously had some success with building your platform, building a business around this whole strategy ecosystem, creating courses that had quite a bit of students going through it, and a successful YouTube channel. And in podcasts as well. So if someone came to you now and just like, hey, I'm looking to start out creating an ecosystem, sort of like what you've done, like what would be some of your biggest advice to this person?
The best advice would be it's going to take 2 or 3 months before you really start to find a whole lot of traction. Like my first 30 to 50 videos, nobody was really watching them. But the consistency helped me get 2 or 3 new subscribers every single video. And over time, that kind of snowballs. So this isn't something that's going to happen for you in 1 week. It's probably not going to happen for you in 1 month. It's probably going to take 2 or 3. And that's when it's a full-time job, when you're putting in that kind of effort. And then the next thing I would say is, um, like if you're going to become an influencer or you're going to try and create a YouTube channel, anything like this, and you want it to be a full-time job, then you need to think of it as a business. So that was one thing where I think I did very well is I was able to monetize my channel very effectively very early on because I had my website set up. I had affiliate links that were already running. I had a course that I could send people to. I monetized on YouTube fairly quickly. So like I already had a funnel that was built while I was making those first 60 videos, even though nobody was watching them. All of that back end work, I was building it in the meantime. And I just kept putting in the work until it started to snowball. And by the time it did, all of that back end work of having the business kind of set up really helped accelerate that growth. And so, like, when the numbers started to increase, I didn't have any issues with accounting. I didn't have any issues with getting or receiving payments or sending out payments. Um, and it's because I did that kind of groundwork and I thought about what I wanted it to be while it was small. And so now, kind of like what I said in the beginning, like YouTube is this funnel where I try to make videos that show up in search and provide 8 minutes of value, and then say, if you want to learn more about this, check out these 3 links here, and all of them monetize. So that's my strategy.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, so I talk to a lot of people that can say, well, I didn't really expect this to be anything from the beginning. And then they just happen to fall into the traction and the momentum that then built the platform for them. But for yourself, this was very, very intentional. Like you built basically the systems first, or, in the very beginnings, and then built the platform on top of that.
Yeah, like, I knew that making finance content, I wasn't going to have a viral video that just kind of blew up. But what I was able to find out is, if you make the right kind of content, usually that start with how to XYZ do something. Um, if you do it properly, you can show up in search. And if you can make enough of those videos over time, your channel will grow exponentially fast. Because if your goal is to make a viral video and you don't, then it's really, really tough to grow. But if your goal is to make searchable content, that's fairly easy to do. And it's a surefire way to grow your channel. And so my whole philosophy was slow and steady the whole way through, because I didn't have the following, I didn't have the brand name, I didn't have anything behind me, and I didn't have big money to do anything risky to go viral with. So
Right.
my plan was slow and steady, and yeah, I kind of planned it out from the beginning. I didn't expect the growth that I saw once it started, but I did plan out how I wanted everything to kind of function. And, like, for instance, I set up a corporation before my channel ever got big, and all of my revenue from YouTube, from the affiliate sales, from the podcast, from everything went directly into that corporation. And I was paying myself a salary before the YouTube channel was ever big. So, like, all of that infrastructure was already there, which was
Nice.
helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that makes scaling much easier and less painful and stressful for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing worse than going back 6 months trying to figure out how to do the accounting work and get it out of your personal statements. So,
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. So, as far as let's say you met someone who's maybe as far as you are, or maybe even further in terms of how far you've made it in your path so far on this journey. What's something that you feel like is like your secret sauce, or something that you did differently that maybe someone else isn't really doing, or isn't as commonly done what you've been able to accomplish?
yeah. So the area where I've had a lot of success is realizing that there's kind of two types of content out there. There's entertainment content and there's educational content. And 90% of what you watch is going to fall into one of those two categories. And if it's educational content, then what you need to be really good at is SEO and providing very clear and concise value. And I think that that's what I picked up on very early on, is like, I am not the most entertaining guy on YouTube. I'm not going to do the craziest, riskiest stuff. I'm not going to be that guy. Um, but if you need to learn how to execute a stock trade on this platform that I'm familiar with, I can make a 4-minute video and walk you through that in a very clear and concise way, to the point where you then trust me, hopefully, at the end of the video. And if I say, hey, here's another resource that I use and I really like it, then hopefully you sign up for that. And most of the time I get a kickback on it. So my piece of advice would be, if you're going for entertainment, then make sure you're really, really entertaining. And if you're not entertaining, then focus on education and focus on search engine optimization. And when somebody types in how to XYZ in YouTube, if you can be the number one or number two video, it's a gold mine for you. And if you're monetized, it just continues to pay every day. So it's like the greatest thing in the world.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Great advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so let's go a little bit into your story here. You started your YouTube channel and your courses roughly a year ago, and I guess was that the beginning of you sharing in a large capacity or in a large way, like starting this whole journey here, or were you doing anything before that?
No, that was the first. This is all being kind of the first process of me kind of getting out there and starting to really share and create content. Prior to starting this YouTube channel, I was actually backpacking through Asia, and we were in Bali at the time, and then COVID hit, and so the whole world kind of shut down, and prices for flights to get home went from 600 to 1200 overnight, and then 1400 the next night. And I'm like, oh man, this isn't going to go well. So I flew home. I was in lockdown for a few weeks with some money in my pocket, and I just kind of figured, like, hey, let's get back into the markets. Let's start doing the stock trading thing a little bit more regularly and kind of full time. And while I was doing that, I figured I would just share my analysis and what I was doing and how I was looking at these companies and these stocks. And so that was where the idea of starting the YouTube channel came from. And then as I got more and more into that, I figured, let's really give this a shot. Let's actually kind of set this up properly and go at it for 2 months and see where we end up. And at the end of each kind of 2 month section, I was doing better and better than before. And now it has kind of continued to escalate to a point where I'm making a lot more money now than I ever was before. So it's great.
Nice. Congrats.
Thanks.
Okay, so how long was it before you got that intentional push of like, okay, let's buckle down for 2 months, like that first time that you told yourself that? Like, how long was it that you were just like creating content or putting things out there before you were like, let's try this for real?
I think it was within the first 2 or 3 videos where I was like, okay, this could probably turn into something. And it wasn't necessarily because I was seeing great traction, but because in this crazy YouTube world that we live in, everybody likes to share how they do things and how much money they make and how things are going. And so, like, honestly, I was sitting there trying to make my own YouTube videos, and I'm watching these other guys do their year-end recaps of how much they made on YouTube, like Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin and these guys, and they're making more money than I ever imagined. And anybody else that I know, like, these guys make more money than them. And so I keep thinking about it. I'm like, I think they've got it figured out. Like, I think if you had to work 8 hours a day, like, that'd probably be a pretty good way to do it and make an uncapped amount of income. And so at that point, I was like, okay, let's give this a shot for 2 months. And I think it was like my second or third video is kind of when I hit that inflection point, and then it went from 4 or 5 subscribers per day to like 20 subscribers per day to 50 subscribers today to 100 subscribers per day over the course of probably 8 to 10 months. And then I just did the simple math in my head, like, hey, if this continues at anywhere close to this pace, I'll have a 20,000 subscriber channel in 6 to 8 months, and I can probably make a full-time income off that. And turns out it only took like 4 or 5 months by the time I was making more than my other jobs. So it was good.
Nice. That's great.
I got I did get a little lucky though. I was talking about finance and personal investing in the stock market right kind of as COVID hit, and then everybody got a bunch of surplus money and GameStop went crazy. So I did hit the timing pretty good with regards to the market conditions as well though.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you had to be there doing it to be able to have that timing be right. So there's
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
so you really started initially, like in the first 1 to 2 videos, with really only the intention of sharing what you were doing on your end, just to share that knowledge of investing and trading stocks and stuff. And then after those first couple videos, that's when you were like, okay, I shared these and maybe it was a little bit fun, or you see yourself doing it longer or sustain it. And then you were like, okay, I think this could be a business. You're seeing other people making money doing it. So then you got really intentional with it. It's like the first video you put out, you weren't really thinking about YouTube being a business, but after your second or third video, that's when that shift happened for you.
Yeah, I would say that like in those first 3 to 5 videos, I was testing things out. Like I think my first video was like a review video of my favorite morning coffee, and then the next video was something else, and then the third video was about stocks, and that one did really well. And then I was like, okay, make another video about stocks, and that one did good. And I was doing that in my hobby at the time anyways, and so I'm like, okay, maybe I should focus on this a little bit more. And I think if you go through my first 15 or 20 videos there, they're all how to XYZ in the stock market, or what is this indicator, or what does this mean when you're buying or selling a stock. And so they were all just kind of informational videos. And then so that was kind of when I was like, okay, let's try this out and let's pursue this full time. And then a couple of months into it, I made one video, and it was how to day trade in Canada. And I think the video took me 2.5 hours to create, film, edit, and upload. It took a very little amount of time and effort, and I didn't. It was nothing extravagant, and the production quality was very low. But if you go to YouTube right now and you type in day trade in Canada, it's probably going to come up as number 1 or 2. And when that happened, it generated like 600 views a day just from people searching day trade in Canada. My video comes up front. It's a good video, gives them everything they need. And so YouTube keeps it there, and it brings in 500 to 600 views per day. And then all of a sudden, that 500 to 600 views a day is like 20 or 30 subscribers and an extra $5 or $10. And that one video that just did absolutely perfect for search engine optimization and ranking has now brought in maybe 15 or 20% of my total revenue. And it's in the thousands, like it's well into the thousands of both subscribers and revenue. And it's like, that took 2.5 hours of time.
Right.
It blew my mind. And so I was like, okay, that's when I got onto the side of like, I need to create educational content that are how-to videos of how to do this XYZ in the marketplace, provide value there. But if I give that away for free, how do I monetize it and create a living out of it? And so that's when I set up all the back end.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thanks for that clarity there.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think it's important to note how Zac, experimented in the beginning. I mean, making a video reviewing coffee, compared to the content you're creating today, like it's completely different. And going into it, just experimenting with all kinds of things that are interesting to you, to then settle on something that was actually a passion of yours that sort of aligns pretty well with that, I think is pretty awesome how that sort of came together. And it's really important to test the market and do what you did.
Yeah, for sure. And then like it was kind of like, okay, I saw a little bit of traction, and then I just went full steam ahead with it until it didn't work, and it just never didn't work. And so that's kind of how I got to where I was at today. But like when I was first doing this, I was making a video a day about the stock market, some aspect of it, and then create the video, and I would post it in like 40 different Facebook groups just to try and get some views and get some attention. That was sort of how I got the channel started and rolling.
Okay.
And then eventually all these Facebook groups just got tired of me. And luckily I had big enough following by that point that it sort of became a snowball.
Okay. Yeah. So you did a little bit of boost hacking in a way, just by blasting your videos into those Facebook groups to get a little bit of initial momentum going with your channel.
Yeah, and I would recommend that to everybody. So if you're starting a YouTube channel, you need to go join every single Facebook group and online forum that you can find for whatever your niche is. And then you need to create really organic, authentic content where you're not selling anything, and post it in there as free education to build your following. That's what I would recommend to anybody new.
And speaking on that, do you have like maybe one example of a post that you did that did pretty well in a way that you could share a piece of content that wasn't promoted or promotion-y, spammy feeling?
Yeah, so like for me, trading in the stock market, I would do one where I would make a trade, and let's say it went well, I would break down everything about that trade, why I bought this stock, why I sold it at this level, how I knew, what kind of analysis I did, and then I would provide all of that in that video so that somebody could understand my thought process or how I did something. Um, and then give it to them completely free. And at the end of the video, say, if you got any value out of this, remember to click that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So that was sort of my strategy. Or like, for instance, um, looking at a price chart for a stock, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. So just doing tutorials of different ways to look at a price chart for a stock. Anybody interested in trying to buy and sell stocks is usually pretty interested in that. And so if you can give them a little bit of extra knowledge or a tool or a strategy that you use,
Right.
kind of like the secret to like a basketball shot or a golf swing or a family recipe.
Okay, and that's like what we saw on your website was under the products page. You had a bunch of downloadable content there with like Excel sheets and stuff. Like that's the type of stuff that you would say in a video for someone to go reference or download or get from you.
Yeah, exactly. So one of those attachments is my trading plan as well as a trading journal. And so I'll make a video on YouTube that says, here's my trading plan. Here's how I think about buying and selling stocks. And here's the checklist that I go through every day. And then I will create a PDF with that checklist and I'll put it on my website so that somebody can download that PDF completely free. They get full access to it, but they have to give me their email and then I can remarket to them afterwards as well.
Okay. We've got a question from 100% True. Did you read all those books back there?
Some of them have been gifts, so I have not got through all of them, but well over half, probably 3/4 of them, but not all of them. I can't.
All right. Yeah. So, as far as like, your personal journey as a human being, do you feel like that you have improved or changed through this whole journey? Because, like for example, for me, like starting the podcast, I was very uncomfortable putting myself out there, and just the stepping stones and the motions of doing it, and talking to people who are comfortable with it, and surrounding myself with people like that, like has helped build my confidence and get me comfortable with it. So then public speaking is a little bit easier, and communicating is a little bit better, and I'm better at articulating. So for yourself, like, from who you were before you started your YouTube channel and your courses to where you are today, like, how do you feel like you changed as just a person?
Doing what I do now in the beginning was very stressful, but now once I kind of crossed that level of financial stability here, now I'm much less stressed out. And so my ability to choose what I want to do with my time is much more flexible. And that makes me a whole lot more happier and relaxed. And when I can go work out in the middle of the day and go for a nice dinner with my girlfriend and hang out and sleep in if I want to one day, those kind of things are what I really value in life now. And so I'm a much more happy and less stressed, and I have less anxiety as a person. I think who I am hasn't really changed. Like, I wouldn't say that I act differently or anything like that, but just internally, I can feel it in myself. I'm less stressed, and that probably means that I treat other people better, especially family. And so, I hope that that's what's coming through. You probably have to ask them, but internally, I feel a whole lot better, because prior to this, I was working a full-time job. I had a lot of people underneath me and a lot of responsibility. And now I've kind of gone 180 degrees from having everybody underneath me to now I'm a one-man solo operation where I'll contract out some work if I need to, but I have no employees, I have no liabilities, I have no large bills or monthly payments, and I enjoy that style of living right now very much.
I mean, it's amazing that you were able to. I mean, you were very intentional from the beginning. You happened to be in the right place at the right time with the market and stuff, but you've accomplished that in a year time period. That's like quite a feat. And obviously you've hustled through it. It's clear that you put a ton of work into everything that you've done. but it's amazing that you can go from there to here in 1 year, or roughly.
It still blows me away, to be honest with you. I have an Excel sheet where I track all of my income from what I'm doing now and all of my different revenue streams, um, and it's crazy because I can very literally see the progression from month to month, and it blew me away that if you really put in the work and you learn how things work and you try to improve every day, it's really hard to not make it in this YouTube and influencer world. But it takes a ridiculous amount of effort up front with so little reward that it filters most people out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the truth, I think.
And that's why you need a powerful why. Is what we always seem to come back to, is to be able to push through those hard times, is to have a reason to push through those times.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right. So in regards to your community, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. So you've built a community on YouTube. You've got a community that is existing on your podcast. I saw you've got a Discord channel listed on your website. You probably have an email list that you've conjured up. Do you mind just talking a little bit about your community ecosystem and how you might treat it, and do your, does your community interact with each other? Just a sort of a feel of what your community is like.
Yeah. So I wish my community was a little bit more in person, but COVID kind of messed that up, especially when it's small. So if you are ever building a community and it is small, it's under 100 people, and you've got some dedicated people, you need to go meet up with them in person. I couldn't do it because of COVID. But now my community's couple thousand people. And I do most of my interaction and kind of the community interaction through Discord. So I'm sure you've heard of it, kind of like a big group chat. So that's where I post, for instance, all of my personal financial stuff, all of my trades and analysis, all the companies that I'm watching at. But that's also where I communicate with my kind of community and the people that I interact with. And then I have a couple people that are kind of like admins that I pay on a monthly basis to help facilitate that community, keep it organized, and also regulate it. And then there's a bunch of different chats in there for whatever people are interested in. And that's kind of where I go to share my thoughts, share what I'm doing, share any of my major updates, and kind of give first access when I either launch a new course or put a new video out or do something that I want to share with people.
Okay, great. And in regards to your community, do you have any plans for meeting up in person or getting those deeper relationships going? Like, what are you thinking for that?
Yeah, so like so my community's paid in that Discord chat, so it's $5 per month, so it's not much, but I'd really like to do kind of like big city meetups and just go to restaurants and get everybody out for a big lunch or a big dinner or something. Probably starting here in Calgary and then Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal, kind of in Canada, and then going down to the US. But yeah, the plan is to do a couple more in-person meetups. And then what I also want to experiment with is kind of free in-person training sessions. So just for anybody that's interested in getting into day trading or swing trading, do a free afternoon session that's 4-6 hours long, and just share as much as I possibly can with people to try and help them out, get them into investing and trading. And then if they need any resources, they can use all my links and get access to everything as well.
Okay, so the latter of what you just explained with the courses locally, just to help people get started, is that more just cold people, like you'd post that as like an event, or draw people in that aren't necessarily only in your community? That'd be more for educating and doing a service, as well as like building your brand for a little bit further.
Yeah, that'd be for bringing new people in.
Okay.
But the in-person events, like the people that are already in the community, I'd like to start it off going around city to city and hosting and bringing everybody in for a big dinner or a big lunch or drinks or something would be the goal.
Nice. Yeah, I've talked to a few people that have done events like that, and just heard nothing but good things about those events. So even if just one person shows up, it's like, this person's here to meet with me. So
yeah, and that's the thing. And and it's cool because I got a couple of people that have been kind of with me for a year and a half or 2 years now, and everything's been virtual and digital. So the goal for this year is to kind of make that a little bit more personable. The challenge for me, I guess, though, is that my audience is completely spread out between Canada, the US, and even a little bit in Europe and Australia. So a little bit of traveling, but no problem there.
Okay. Yeah, I know someone who did a local meetup in Atlanta, and they had people from Canada come to it specifically just for that. So
That's
just
cool.
you never know what people might do when you start hosting those.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, no, I'm gonna try that out. Oh, I'm gonna try that out this year for sure.
All right. This next question you can answer as high levels as you'd like. I'm not, whatever you're comfortable with. But it's on the financial side. It's more of a lot of people are trying to make a living doing this, and you've been able to make a living doing this. So whatever you're comfortable sharing. But do you mind going into maybe the the primary sources, like what's is the courses working the best for you? I'm assuming YouTube ads is usually not at the top of that tier, um, but like just so people can get a little bit of grasp of where it makes sense to put energy to make it so that they could be making a living doing this.
Yeah, no problem. So all of my content's based around trading and investing. So thankfully most months that's usually the largest source of income. Obviously there's a bad month here or there, or a video does crazy, and sometimes that changes, but usually investing and trading is kind of number one. And then after that is where it sort of gets interesting. And Skillshare is actually has been the number one source of revenue for me
Mm,
for kind of the last year to maybe even a little bit more on an average basis. So Skillshare was pretty unique. They just changed this, but originally it was if somebody signs up and creates an account, Skillshare will pay me $10. And then they will also pay me based on the amount of time people spend watching my course. And so if somebody signs up and then watches my full course, I could make $50 to $70. And if they don't keep that subscription, they could just cancel it and get the whole thing for free. So it was like the greatest thing in the world. That whole structure has just changed recently with Skillshare. But previous to this, Skillshare was probably the number one source of revenue, coming in at about $10,000 per month, which was great. And I think it
mm,
got as high as like 24,000 when GameStop was going crazy. So that's usually kind of number one or number two. After that is the affiliate sales. So if somebody clicks a link underneath my videos and they sign up for something or create an account or buy a product, I usually get a kickback on that, basically a customer acquisition cost for the company. And that is usually probably $6,000 to $10,000, $6,000 to $8,000 per month, depending on the videos that I'm making and how things are going. YouTube ad revenue for me got as high as $4,000 or $5,000 US 1 month, and now it's usually around 2,000
mm.
per month. So it has slowed down a little bit. When GameStop went crazy, all of my videos just went nuts. But since then, it's kind of hovered out and started to slowly gain. Um, so those are kind of the three big ones. I also sell products on Amazon, but that's kind of unrelated to the influencer and content creation side of things. And then sponsorships is kind of the last one. So, for instance, in the last 2 months, I've done platform walkthroughs for 3 or 4 different crypto platforms. So, I'll make a video saying, hey, here's the platform. We're going to do a review of it. I'll show you how it works, and we'll buy and sell some Bitcoin so you can see a transaction go through. And then that platform will pay me to make that video, kind of spread the word about it. And if somebody signs up, I usually get a kickback there as well. And so, sponsorships, course sales, YouTube ad revenue, trading and investing, um, Amazon, and then I'm doing some Bitcoin mining as well. So a couple of different revenue streams there.
Yeah,
Um,
quite a few.
yeah, quite a few. It varies month by month. Like it's not like steady. It usually varies by $3,000 to $5,000, and right now we're usually in the 20 to 25 per month range at a minimum.
Wow. Well, again, congratulations for reaching this point in such a short time period, and this is hopefully just a foundation for what's to come. That's great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's yeah, the first 6 months are hell, but if you can get through those 6 months and start rolling the snowball, it's a limitless rocket to wherever you want to go. So
All right. So speaking of the limitless rocket, do you have like what are you looking forward to? I know we talked about the future a little bit on your community side, but just as your whole ecosystem goes, like what are you looking forward to most for the future? Do you have any like 1, 5, 10 year type of plans, or how do you approach that or think about that?
a little bit. So like I kind of think about what I do pretty wholesome. And so what I mean by that is like YouTube is a small part of what I do, investing is another part. And so what I'm trying to do right now is make as much money as possible, primarily through investing, to the point where if I wanted to, I could buy dividend paying stocks and live off the cash flow and retire. Like that's sort of the ultimate goal. And for me, it's kind of like $3 million. So that's sort of where I'm trying to get to as fast as possible with regards to like a personal financial
Hmm.
goal. Is like if I had 3 million right now, I could retire and not have to work again. So like that's where I'm trying to get to. With regards to YouTube, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subs. So if anybody is watching this podcast, please go click the subscribe button.
Yes, go to his
I'm at
channel
like,
right now, subscribe
yeah,
for sure.
thank you. Yeah, I'm at like 50,000 subs right now. So I'm trying to get to 100,000 because YouTube sends you out a nice silver plaque. So I really want to get that plaque. And after that, like I'm doing a couple of series on my YouTube channel right now where I'm buying and reviewing other people's day trading and investing courses. So I just put out a video on a really good course that I just did actually right now. I got one more left to do, so I'm trying to finish off that series, and then I might revamp some of my material based on what I've learned
Right.
and some of the updates. So continuous improvement. That's the only goal, is just try and get better every single day. And what I have figured out through YouTube is that if you provide people with value and you provide them information that they're looking for and you teach them something new, um, it's going to reward you for that, because that's what people need right now, especially on the education side, when they're looking for something to learn. So that's what goes through my head when you ask me that question.
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. And I see no reason why none of that wouldn't come true in a relatively, not too distant future. So I'm going to be rooting for you over here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully soon. That 100,000 sub thing was a whole lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So, um, so hopefully in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, if you continue the momentum that you have with pushing content out like you have been for another year, uh, I think that there's no question you would make it. Assuming you kept true to the strategies you've been using for SEO and search terms.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the goal. I just had like even going on that point, my all of my best videos have been short little videos that took under 3 hours to make from start to finish, and just happened to have the right title, the right thumbnail, and the right description at the right time. And so I'm just trying to make more videos like that.
All right. Well, one tip that I've heard, which you may already be familiar with, is that if you recreate those videos, the top performing videos in your channel, then oftentimes those can be suggested videos from when people watch those. So if you wanted to take your top 10, most watched videos and recreate those with similar titles and similar content, that might be one strategy that might help get some easier, higher viewed content for you.
Okay, interesting. I will give that a shot. Huh. I haven't thought about that yet.
All right. Yeah. So, just really wanted to end it here with just getting some last words. I mean, knowing that our audience here is people who are overcoming barriers to start sharing themselves, or might be someone like yourself who's sharing already, but looking for some ideas or ways to get more momentum or strategies to use. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, my advice is like if you're trying to get into this space, no matter what platform you're on, the thing you got to really think about is it's not going to pay off for you in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. It's going to take effort and time, and you're going to get absolutely zero return on it for the first little while. And then you're going to have one small break and another small break a little while later. And eventually those breaks will just get a little bit closer together until it really starts to grow. But the truth is, the harder it is in the beginning, the more people it filters out, and the bigger the reward is at the end. And so, if you can kind of get through those first few months and really start putting yourself out there and be authentic and actually share value or create value, whether it's through education or entertainment, those are the two forms that I think people want. That's going to be your best method to growing and getting to the point where you can kind of pay your bills and make more money doing this than you could in an office. And I think that's the first level and threshold that everybody needs to get to. And the only way to do that is by putting in the work and the effort and creating a really large amount of content. So that's what I got.
Great advice. Be authentic, to share value, put in the work, put in the effort, and just be patient, and you'll experiment, which you did in the beginning. You combine all that, then just it's a matter of time typically for that. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Well, Zac, just want to say thank you again for taking the time to come on the show and share your journey and be vulnerable with us and share at such a deep level. I didn't expect you to share the numbers that you shared and your performance, but maybe that's stuff you already share on your channel, so you're already comfortable with that.
I feel like, especially in what I do, everything's about numbers, so I might as well share it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for sharing, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show here with us today.
No problem. Happy to help. And if anybody has any questions or needs to get a hold of me, check out the YouTube videos or my website.
Yeah, please go to Zac's YouTube channel, subscribe there. Go to his website. If you want to take some courses, sign up for his Skillshare through his link, and he would appreciate that. But Zac, before I let you go, there's one thing I like to ask, because I'm on my own journey of overcoming barriers and becoming more comfortable sharing and doing these things. I'm curious if you live here, so I can be held accountable, if you have any feedback for me through your experience working with me, either communication wise, how the interview went, any kind of feedback just across the board.
I almost forgot about the interview, so I needed an extra reminder. But other than that, everything was good. You seemed a little nervous in the beginning, but I feel like everybody is when you just meet somebody over the computer for the first time. So no, I thought it was good. I thought it was nice and relaxed, and yeah, I can't say anything that you did wrong or that threw me off or anything. So I think you did great.
Well, thanks, Zac. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. I wish I had feedback for you. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about it too much.
Oh, you're good. You're good. All right. Well, as you can see, building a full-time career in this field is possible in approximately a year for what Zac has just proved. So if you're thinking about going full-time with social media, just maybe think about some of the strategies that Zac used. He was very intentional from the beginning, and some of those intentional strategies could definitely be beneficial for you as you explore your journey and sharing. So listen to Zac's tips here in this episode. Go check out his content, because as you make money, you're going to need to invest that money, and he's got some good content for that as well. So just appreciate you taking the time to listen in today. Zac, again, thanks for sharing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.